Welcome to the Game of Life podcast, where we bring you inspiring softball stories, insightful tips from coaches and players, and explore how the game transcends its boundaries to become a metaphor for life. Whether you're a sports enthusiast, a casual fan, or someone just looking for inspiration, you're in for a treat. We'll unravel the tales that go beyond the scoreboard. Discover how perseverance and hard work on the field translates into resilience in your daily challenges. Learn about teamwork, leadership, and the unwavering spirit that fuels success, not just in sports, but in the game of life. We are back. It was your turn to pick a topic, Allie. We're taking a break this week from a guest. We have a couple good ones coming on. So you tell me the topic and we will go.
All right, I'm gonna do the thing where I'm gonna say the topic and you're just gonna tell me what comes into your mind, what you think is special about it. So tonight we're gonna be talking about comfort zones. So I'm gonna leave it just at that. I want you to spitball what comes to your mind when I say the words comfort zone.
Well, first of all, that's where the magic happens. We
It happens
are
in your comfort zone?
no outside of your comfort zone. Sorry. We are as human beings, we are wired to take the easiest route. That's why we take cars instead of walk, and trains and boats and planes. I mean, it's just more convenient. But the journey is where all the happiness happens. And the more exciting your journey is, and the more things you get to see and do and expand upon, your comfort zone expands. I always look at it as if you're driving down the highway going from point A to point B, your comfort zone is just staying on the highway. Expanding your zone would be taking the exits and exploring what's there. And you may not get to the destination as fast as you think you will, but man, you're going to have more stories and more fun along the way.
Yeah, I love that. I think actually one thing I heard today, so it's funny we're doing this topic that kind of resonated with me was I feel like a lot of times a buzz phrase people love to say is, oh, you need to step out of your comfort zone, right? Like you're stuck in your comfort zone. You got to step out of it. A phrase I heard today was you're not stepping out of your comfort zone, you're growing your comfort zone, right? So when you challenge yourself, when you get to learning zones or like that stretch zone almost, your comfort zone is expanding with you because now you're comfortable in situations that you used to not be comfortable in. So I kind of like to think about it that way. Like, yes, you're stepping out of it initially, but then that circle is going to come back around you. Then you're back in your comfort zone. Does that make sense? I
Makes
kind of like,
perfect.
yeah,
Who,
like
who who's the Duke coach that we always talk about that says you handle hard better?
Yep. Duke
I
women's
forget.
basketball coach. Yep.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, she's saying the same thing. Like, it doesn't get any easier. You just get better at handling all the hard stuff. And
Yeah.
when you're growing your comfort zone, I guess, I guess when you're a little kid and you're learning to walk, you're stepping outside your comfort zone, right? But
Totally.
eventually you become so good at walking, you grew your comfort zone. Walking's comfortable. Then it becomes to running, and then riding a bike, and then eventually driving a car. And you get so good at handling those things, it becomes your comfort zone. So
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about is as soon as you get comfortable with something, it's time to keep growing.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that resonates with me the most about comfort zones in life is do you constantly take on easy tasks just because you know you have a high rate of success? Or do you have stretch goals and challenge yourself? Yeah, you may not succeed at all of them, but to me, that's what stretching outside of your comfort zone is, and that's what growth is.
Well, my good friend Cam F. Awesome, right? The winningest amateur boxer in U.S. history. You've had conversations with him. He's come to visit. One of his messages is he tries to reach the fruit at the top of the tree, and if he doesn't get to that fruit on the way down, he'll hit all the low bearing fruit on the way down. And if you always reach your goals, those aren't goals. That's just a to-do list. And that's kind of what you were just saying. Do you have to-do lists or do you really have goals?
Yeah, 100%. I guess question for you, what's maybe a time in your life you think back that you stepped out of your comfort zone and how did it pay off for you?
Uh,
Put you on the spot.
yeah, no, couple things come to
I can
mind.
think of a lot for you.
When I first started playing golf, I was terrible. Like nobody on the golf course wanted to play with me. Uh, Tried out for the golf team, didn't make it. So I mean, that's probably the definition of a loser. But you know, then the next year, I just literally played golf every day and took lessons and soaked it in, worked harder than anybody else, and I still wasn't the best player the next year, but playing became more normal and I made the team. Uh, I mean, when I went back and got securities licensed, when I became a softball coach, when one summer I just decided to swim across Cuco Lake because it was a challenge, like riding my bike. Like, I don't know. I feel like any task I take on, starting the tap house, your mom and I just started. I mean,
Yeah,
not even knowing what we're doing, but now it's almost too comfortable, just 2 months in.
yeah. No, that's awesome. I think you're a really good example of that. I think even in your career, like when you changed your career path a little bit too, like, do you want to talk about, just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So again, I was supposed to be a pro golfer, and I joke about that. I mean, that's okay to have that aspiration, right? But I didn't do it. But all the work ethic and the discipline helped me. Uh, I got into a career in finance, and I wasn't happy, so I literally shifted gears, went back to school nights, and became a teacher, not knowing if I'd ever find a job. I mean, 28 years later, I think I'm doing okay. Uh, I think anytime I mean, you only get one shot at this life. So
Mhm.
anytime you think you want to do something, like what's stopping you? And
Mhm.
it's comfort zones. Oh, I've arrived. I've made it. If anytime you're thinking that, to me, it just means it's time to find a new journey. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I think the common theme and what I've just talked about in the last couple minutes is if you think things are going well, that's fine. But what's the next challenge? What's the next challenge? What's the next challenge? Why stop challenge yourself? I don't care if you're 28, 38, or 68. Why stop?
Yeah. And every finish line is the start of a new race, right?
The great philosopher Little Wayne said that, yes.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that applies here too. And I think even on like surrounding yourself with people who constantly push themselves out of their comfort zone is going to make you want to do the same. And I think even growing up in my life so far, there have been, times when I've stepped out of my comfort zone and it's paid off. So I think it's definitely something you just have to be mindful of. And focus on it, right? Because you're not just going to do it if you're not thinking about it. It's really easy to get comfortable. I think as humans, it's common nature. We don't like change. Like we just don't for the most part. If we're comfortable, it's really easy to get complacent in that. But growth and like the best things in life happen outside of comfort. It's just the truth. Like if you're uncomfortable and you have to work for it, right? There's obviously the common phrase, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, but that has everything to do with your comfort zone. And I think just it goes back to like we talked about a lot, enjoying the process, right? Enjoy being uncomfortable because that's how you're growing and that's how you're going to get better.
Yeah, and the more you do that, I mean, I could think of countless examples where I'm stressed because I don't have the answer to something. But when you understand and you thrive on being uncomfortable, you find the answer, you find the solution, you get it done. And if you don't get it done today, you get it done next week or the week after. And you say trust the process. Everybody says that, but I don't think everybody understands what the process is. The process isn't doing the same thing every single day and say trust the process because you're the starter. It's trust the process because you're looking for the next adventure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think a big one that comes to mind for me is moving across the country because I had a lot of people, their reaction to that was when I graduated college and I decided that I was gonna move from New York to Illinois. Aren't you scared? Like, do you know anybody? Why are you going there? Like, you don't know anybody. What are you gonna do? It's not that you're not scared. I was scared. Like, I would be lying to anyone if I'm like, no, I got no worries in the world. Like, it's going to be totally fine and it's going to be sunshine and rainbows. It's not the absence of fear or uncertainty. It's just being okay and knowing that you're going to work through that. Like, yes, I was nervous. Yes, I was a little scared. This isn't something had 100% confidence in that was just going to go well with no adversity. But I knew that it was the right next step for me, and I knew that I was going to grow from it and learn so much from it, and it was where I needed to be and what I needed to do. So I think people sometimes get set back. Well, oh, I'm not ready for that. I'm too nervous. Or I'm not ready for that. I don't feel prepared. Well, if you're really a stretch, you shouldn't feel prepared, and you probably should feel nervous.
Right. And if you waited 6 months to move, you still would have been just as scared. If you waited a
Yeah.
year to move, you still would have been just as scared. But
Yeah.
instead, you have a year's worth or 6 months worth of your journey and you become comfortable with that.
Mhm.
Uh, I purposely ask people this at work all the time. How you doing today?
Living the
And
dream. No, I'm
living the
kidding.
dream, same old, same old. And I used to always just laugh. Lately, I've been saying, well, that's too bad. And they don't even know what to look at. Like, they don't even know what to do because, like, it probably seems like, I mean, pardon my language, like I'm a dick when I say that, but it's like, no, like, you're not living the dream. If you're saying you're living the dream, you're not living the dream. Nobody who's living the dream says that. They would
Yeah.
say, I'm grateful or excited for a new challenge. They don't say living the dream. And
Yeah.
it really bothers me. And two things are happening now. Sometimes people ask me that question now and they expect a good answer, or some people just ignore me.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanna pivot to for a minute to what stepping outside your comfort zone may look like in athletics. So shockingly, I'm gonna take the softball approach to start and then we can pivot. But I think a big one for me is what position do you play?
Mhm.
Especially at a young age, right? One example in my life is I was a catcher actually for a lot of the time growing up. And I think it was my sophomore year in high school. My coach said to me, hey, like we have another girl on our team. I want her in the lineup as a hitter, but like she's a catcher. Like that's what she does. And I know you can play other positions. So how do you feel about being moved? And in my head, right, as a freshman, sophomore in high school, I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm a catcher. Like, this is ridiculous? But now, luckily, I had people in my life to help me see the perspective of this is what's going to help my team. Yes, I'm comfortable behind the plate right now, but my team needs me to be comfortable at second, right? So, therefore, I'm going to put what I want and my comfort to the wayside because I need to do what's best for my team. And that could have been left field. It could have been second base. Like I remember I took extra reps at second because I wanted to be the best I could be for my team. And I think it's not just agreeing to step out of your comfort zone, but truly buying into it, right? I could have easily said, sure, I'll play second, but every time I make an error, well, I've never played here before. I don't practice here. I don't know what she expects me to do. Or I say, all right, you know what? I'm going to take accountability for this. If I'm going to go after it, I'm going to give it my best shot. And anything that I mess up at, I'm going to take personal accountability for and use that as a way to get better. Because I think I hear girls say that all the time. Well, I don't practice here. Okay, well, maybe you should if you knew you were going to play there.
Right.
So,
Do you want to know how happy I was with that decision back in the day? No.
yeah. No, but
uh,
but look at it now. It was for the best. I played second in my college career, right? Like that's catching isn't what got me to college.
right.
Middle infield was. So
Well, catching kept you in college your first couple of years, being a
yes,
bullpen
it did.
pitcher.
Lots of bullpens. Yeah.
uh, this summer we had so many injuries on our high school team. We only had 9 healthy people, and we had a left-handed third baseman. And the poor girl goes, "I've never played third base before." I'm like, "Well, have you fielded a ground ball?" "Yeah." "Can you throw?" "Yeah." "All right, let's play first." And one thing we're not going to do is anytime a mistake's made, like use that as an excuse. Like
Mhm.
just try your best. And it makes the team better. If the person handles, if you handle stepping outside your comfort zone or growing your comfort zone, it doesn't just make you better, it makes everybody around you better.
Mhm. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you can accomplish things you never thought you could accomplish, hence the journey,
Yeah.
which we always talk about. And we always use sports as such a great analogy because everybody talks about adversity and comfort zones and the journey, but really at the end of the day, they have an end result in mind. And if they don't get that end result when they think they should have got it, then nothing works. And
Yeah.
that's not how any of this works, is it? There's no
No,
timeline on
no,
results.
no. And I think a lot of people, when they think about stepping outside their comfort zone, think of the physical aspect, but it can also be mental, right? Let's use
Yep.
communication, for example. You're comfortable with your parents talking to your coach. Why don't we get comfortable with
Mhm.
you talking to your coach? Right? Like that's something, step outside your comfort zone. You create that line of communication. It could also be leadership wise, right? You're comfortable with not being vocal. All right, well, your team needs a leader to step up, and you're one of the players on the field. Girls are going to look to you. Oh, well, I'm quiet. I don't like to talk. Oh, well, right? Like you got to step into that role.
Yep.
And that being said, obviously not everyone's a 10 out of 10 energy wise, right? But those comfort zones, it's amazing how much you can limit yourself by saying, I want to stay comfortable.
And you said not everybody's a 10 out of 10. You don't have to be. If you're a 10 out of 10 on your scale, make yourself an 11 out of 11 or a 12 out of 12. Like you can't compare yourself to other people. Just compare yourself to your old self, and you
Yeah.
should always grow. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we laugh, you go from being a kid to a teen to a young adult, and everybody's like, oh, I'm adulting now. Well, of course you are, because that's the next level of growth.
Mhm.
And I don't know. It just makes me sick. I don't understand how people don't think this way.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. If you grew up surrounded by a lot of comfortable people, you may not know any better, right? We were lucky enough to grow up surrounded by people who pushed us. You never let me stay in my comfort zone. Like, I don't even know what mine looks like because I was never in it for long enough to look around.
Right.
But I think it's just something, especially young kids out there, but like even adults too. And I'm not perfect at this. Sometimes I catch myself getting comfortable. I think you just have to be cognizant of it, right? Aware of it. Look around and say, wow, I'm getting comfortable right now. Like I want to get better. And I think it starts with setting goals and goals for that high hanging fruit, like you were talking about, right? Not the low hanging fruit. Set yourself tough goals. And even if you miss them, you're still better off, right? But if you set those low goals and you miss them, you're right where you are. You're right where you are. Didn't move.
Well, let's end with this because I know you know what this stands for, but I think the problem is, again, everybody's worried about the result. So when I mean the result, parents especially or kids are afraid to grow or step out of their comfort zone because they're worried about failure. But what's failure mean in our household?
First attempt in learning under real world experience.
Yeah, and when you phrase it that way, like we're not trying to be all bubbly and have a mindset shift where, oh, it's okay if you fail. No, failing sucks.
Yeah.
But if you aren't reaching high enough and growing, it's impossible to not it's impossible to always succeed. But if you
Yeah.
think of failure as just another step along the journey and to keep going, first attempt in learning under real world experience, all of a sudden it's not a big deal. And that's how you
Yeah.
really grow.
I think it's a little nervous of the failure and also nervous of what other people are going to think or say. But I'm going to give everyone a really big hint on this call that I've learned in my life. People think about themselves a lot more than they're thinking about you. And I don't mean
Yes.
that in a terrible way, but like everyone's working toward their own goals, right? I use this analogy and it might be a funny one. Like, let's say I have a pimple on my face. I'm going to notice it so much. Other people probably don't as much. Like when you're going through something, you overanalyze it and recognize it more than anybody ever will. It's selfish not to reach your goals. It's selfish not to go for your goals because if you fail, who cares? Start over, right? And anyone who picks on you, shame on them because they should be busy reaching their own goals too.
Well, you said nobody thinks about you that much because they're worried about, they're
And
busy.
there's good people out there. Don't take that from me. I'm just saying in
Right,
general.
right. But when you say they're trying to accomplish their own goals, that's not what most people are doing. Most people are worried about their own fears. Like
Yeah.
it's not that they're looking at you, they're more worried about themselves and how they reflect upon others. And man, if you can just get that out of your system that really nobody cares. Failing's okay. Growing your comfort zone instead of stepping out of it. I think you're bulletproof in the long run. And again, not tying a result to it, but just being better than you were the day before. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, I think we did okay, right?
Yeah.
That's 20 minutes of you and me just acting like we have the answer to everything.
No,
Uh,
definitely.
no, but
This is a topic I'm passionate about, though. I think it's really crucial for anybody who, one, is aspiring to play, at the next level, but two, just in life. Like, this has continued to serve me well, outside of my athletic career.
yeah, and it's important to have people that think like you to lean on. Like we've had plenty of failures in our family, but we always have each other to hold ourselves accountable or snap ourselves out of it. And if you're liking what we're saying today, you have to find your people that help you with that. And then
Yeah.
the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, till next week. We'll see you.
Peace.
Bye.